Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. Militia Man here. It's Thursday evening, and I've got a quick update on a few things. This last week has been very productive. We've had a lot of things going on. I guess to start things off in a real quick manner, the central bank calls for accurate news. They posted that on their CBI website. It basically said for Wednesday that they're calling on the media to be careful in conveying news related to its monetary policy. It seems interesting that this comes out yesterday. It's a day after the CBI met with the World Bank. It's not the first time that they've ever done this before, but interestingly enough, it's a similar article. It is, however, the first since Alak has taken his position back at the helm of the central bank since he was at the AMF. So, you know, the talk of this exchange rate volatility that's between the parallel market and the official rate has been in the news quite a bit. So I believe that there is probably one fix for that, and I think it's pretty obvious, but they're not openly talking about it. And I think that is an exchange rate change, and in a quantum leap way. Those are the words that they're using. They're using speed, they're using accurate, they're using accelerated, they're using expedited. They're using lots of terms in the last couple of days and weeks, and one of those two is a quantum leap. So why they focus on certain things, it's an educational process. So it's pretty good that we see that kind of stuff. The Rashid Bank today, for instance, they come out and they talk about their first steps to obtain the main membership in the international Visa card. We've seen this. It's probably doesn't seem to be nothing new. However, this is new because this is with international Visa card. International means across borders. So they're talking about the Visa card company offered and submitted the company's proposal for what they want to do and how they're going to do it. And basically what they're looking for, the bank is looking to get international advantages that facilitate the citizens' electronic financial transactions at low cost and as quick as possible. So those are the things that come out today. Electronic payments systems are not going away. They're going to be part of this whole process, and it's probably going to be more important now with an exchange rate change because, you know, 1132 or 1310 or whatever they tell you, it's not going to be international. But when they go international, international entities like MasterCard, Visa, who knows? You'll have many different companies coming in. So let's see what happens with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being international, being cheap, fast and efficient, low cost. That's their goal. So then, let's see. As far as the central bank governor, he has been in meetings, obviously, on many different levels. I'm assuming and presume that he's been with, not only has he been with the World Bank, he's met with the President of the Republic, Abdul Latif Jamal Rashid, today. A couple days ago was the World Bank. I believe he was in the meetings with the Kurdistan region. There's photos of them being in a very major meeting. We'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, the governor with the president today, well, actually, let's just go back a little bit. Firstly, because Tuesday was the day that Alak was with the World Bank, and one of the things that the World Bank was in charge of, and that was preparing a financial sector assessment project, and that the bank and their delegation was there with Alak, and they presented a summary of the report of the financial reform program in Iraq, and that was all presented. It basically focused on the banking sector, and especially the government one. Realize that 80% of the banking sector as a whole has been with the government, but now as well they'll have an adoption of the institutional governance and the organization of structuring all the banking institutions. Well, so It's kind of complex, but basically they're moving forward on international banking as opposed to what they were in the past. And they have information technology that we just didn't have in the past, and so they're openly talking about that. But then obviously today, the president of the republic got together. They talked about monetary policy, which is basically pursued by the central bank to improve the exchange rate of the dinar. I mean, improving the exchange rate of the dinar from 1460 to 1310 isn't really doing them any favors when it was at 1190. It just didn't really do anything. So when they say monetary policy pursued by the central bank in its efforts to improve the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar, it's got to mean something completely different. That's where we are, or my view is. Look, they come out and say that Allah, quote, stressed that the central bank's seriousness in developing its work, end quote. Basically, he's expressing himself in a sense that they are taking this development very seriously. And obviously, it's got to be more important than just having a program, right? Article 8 compliance with the IMF is not at 1310. It just doesn't fit our program. So, I mean, today, this meeting was really kind of important that they met and they had those conversations. Also, let's go to another level where the Parliamentary Finance will begin because they had a first reading of the 2023 budget and the 2024-2025 budget, that tripartite budget. Everybody's on board, it seems like. The coordination framework's on board. The Kurds are on board. Everybody seems to be really focused in on that this is a good thing. But they have had a reading, the first one yesterday. And so then today they're talking about preparing for the second reading. Then you have to ask yourself, well, why do they keep using this word preparation for what? So did they have a budget that was presented to them, and then now they have to prepare that budget again because they've made some adjustments to it? It's to be determined, but that's probably where they're headed. And that 2023, 4, 5 budget needs to be in preparation and as early as Saturday. The spokesman for the first deputy basically called the expediting the preparation of a report for the draft budget law for its second reading. Because why? Because this whole process is about the citizens and for implementation and the service of investment projects. The investment projects are basically for what? If you have a tripartite budget, it's about private sector. So keep that in mind because everything's changing. So what are they telling you? If they're going to a private sector, they're going international. That is huge. We're in a huge space at this time. So those are key items to focus in on. Don't forget, by the way, all of this information that I'm talking about and going over in the news comes from Samson, the News Hounds, in Patreon. The content that we provide is phenomenal. Samson is out of this world, and if you're not involved, if you have any questions, it's a place to come to see and get those questions answered. It's amazing. There's been talk about Halabusi. He's the president of the parliament. He took off and left, which is a very curious time frame. He went on March 30th. He had presented. He wanted to take a vacation from April 3rd through the 17th. I find that very interesting because there's in the United States of America, they're having a repeal, voting on the repeal of two wars, and that repeal is about Iraq. And our House and Senate will be out until the 17th. Halabusi's time frame to come back is on the 18th. I'm not giving dates or anything like that, other than for what they have, and I published that today. That's what's happening. So from now until that time frame, this article today or yesterday is specifically stating that the fact that Halabusi is on vacation will have no effect on passing this budget. So what we believe is that this budget needs an exchange rate to be facilitated and talked about. That goes right back to that preparation that I was telling you about. The preparation, why would you prepare? They can and they could have passed and gone through one reading. There's no constitution item that tells us they couldn't have done that, but they didn't, which is fine if they haven't, let's say. They're expected to have a reading on that on this Saturday. And they're preparing for that as we speak. It's just basically stating that there's a large parliamentary majority that's strongly supportive of passing the budget quickly in the coming days. Okay, so basically they're moving forward. And where are we going with this? We're going into a weekend that is obviously, banks are closed today, Thursday. We're going into Good Friday tomorrow. We have holidays that have been put out for the Christians, etc., on Sunday and Monday, and they're subsequently adding more provinces as we go. It's a curiosity, and it's really kind of a powerful time frame. The interesting thing about that is that repeal has not been published yet, and they haven't voted on it to date. So it feels to me like that there is a coordinated effort to manage this process that we're going through. So we'll see if that turns out. Basically, it's stating that there's no personal dispute that requires mediation or reconciliation. So it sounds to me like, I feel this way. I think others that are out there that are studying along with us and or on their own feel the same way, that this budget, based on some more information that I'm going to go over right now, that helps support the fact that there's no problem with the 2023, 24, 25 budget. It's basically getting things organized and making sure everybody's on the same page at the right time to go electronic, to go digital, and to go international. And I think that's really a powerful situation. So basically, today there was some information that was on Western media. Came out of Reuters. It says there was hidden names who attended the Baghdad and herbal oil negotiations that we just witnessed, because that was kind of a historic event when the Baghdad and Erbil got together and agreed upon turning on the pipeline for sending more oil back to Kurdistan, because they had shut it off through Kurdistan to Turkey and through their pipeline. So that was turned off, I think, for about 10 days because of the Paris court order. We shall see how that plays out. But interestingly enough, some of the big companies in the United States and around the world were at that meeting that nobody knew about. They didn't talk about it, and it's pretty fascinating. One of the things that caught my attention was the company called American company HKN. HKN, if you look it up, they've been in business in Iraq as a private entity since 2007. And with the war was conflict ended in 2003, but within 4 years, HKN was in there doing business. And Russell Hardy, the CEO of Vitol, one of the largest trading companies in the world, is there in that meeting. High-ranking officials from Petraco, Energy Global, and this HKN. Well, HKN, I did just a small bit of research on that, and that's Ross Perot Jr. Private company. And if we remember correctly, Ross Perot ran for president of the United States, and very, very wealthy man. They have some large interests. So there's no doubt that this meeting between the Kurds and those companies having issue in Erbil, the Kurdistan region, are very important, and they probably wanted to secure their assets. They want to make sure that they were safe, and so they showed up. And one more last interesting thing is that there was one person in this meeting that they didn't want to talk about. Period. I'm in, and I'm wondering why that would be, but I'm not so worried about it. Anyway, the government included executives from all these different private and foreign companies, and we're good to go on that. I would say that I would suggest that this whole thing, what we've been talking about, the heat's up. It really has turned up. The Paris ruling created a stir to get the Kurds to the table and forced them into this 2023 budget, 24, 25 budget, and this next Saturday should be really important. and it could be days after too, but let's play it by ear and see what happens. But I really did like the fact that the entities that showed up into this meeting to secure their assets probably had a big influence on where we're headed. And I think we're in a really good spot. So thank you guys for your time this Thursday evening. I enjoyed being here with you, and we'll see you soon at Patreon and on YouTube. Thank you. Hey, if you like this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the donate button, and feel free to come join us and talk to us in Discord.